Heinz Doofenshmirtz is very dumb, in the best possible way. From being a lawn gnome to his many other funny moments. Today, we're diving into the funniest moments ever from Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Starting with Runaway Runway, which nobody remembers. Perry the Platypus, doing his agent thing, bursts through Doof's evil dirigible. A normal villain would be furious, maybe shoot a laser or something, but not a Doof. His first concern is property damage. He literally has a pre-installed robot arm holding a giant roll of duct tape specifically for this kind of situation. He patches the hole in his blimp with duct tape. Then, because efficiency is key, he uses the exact same duct tape arm to tie Perry up. He's so proud of himself for this, he can't resist a terrible pun.
Oh, look! I have captured the rare duct tape platypus. You know, like duck-billed. Never mind.
He even has to pause to explain the wordplay. The man has to be his own laugh track. And what is the grand evil scheme that required such a flimsy trap? Is he going to hold the world for ransom? Unleash a plague? No, it's so much dumber and so much more relatable. He hates waiting in line. That's it. That is the entire motivation for the day's evil. He is sick and tired of wasting his precious time at the DMV and amusement parks when he could be at home. You know, spreading more evil in the tri-state area. So he builds the copy and paste innator. It's a gigantic, man-sized photocopier designed to make clones of himself to do all his boring errands. He steps into his invention, manages to tan his own eyeballs in the process, and then the first clones start to emerge. And it functions exactly like the crappy office copier from your nightmares. The first clone comes out all pale and faded because, as he notes, he's low on toner. The next one is all crumpled and jagged because of a copy jam. And then there's the third clone, a drooling, slack-jawed, completely vacant version of himself. Doof just looks at this failed creation with utter disgust and ponders one of life's great mysteries.
Why is it when people copy their butts, it comes out perfect?
If you thought that was wild, just remember, his schemes get so much funnier from here. Let's talk about the best lazy day ever. Perry barges in, ready for the usual song and dance, but Doofenshmirtz immediately zaps him with his brand new slow-motion innator. Now, a normal trap would, trap someone, but this is so much more brilliantly stupid. It just makes him move in agonizingly slow motion, which means he doesn't have to go through the effort of actually capturing and restraining him. So, with Perry now moving at the speed of a melting glacier, what is the evil plan of the day? To harness the power of a horned frog's unpleasant appearance and use his ugly innator to make everyone in the tri-state area hideous. And
blame my parents.
He can't stand that everyone else is better looking than he is, so his only solution is to drag them all down to his level. To prove his point, he gives a demonstration on a picture of handsome. He is literally phoning it in. Meanwhile, Perry is painstakingly making his way across the floating living room set. It takes him most of the episode, but he finally reaches Doofenshmirtz, who is so arrogant in his victory that he just taunts him, running around with the ugly innator because he knows Perry is too slow to do anything about it. But he made a critical error. He forgot about the other innator. Perry wasn't trying to get the ugly innator, he was going for the slow motion innator all along. Then the ugly innator beam hits Doofenshmirtz himself. And what happens? Absolutely nothing. The beam just harmlessly bounces off him. The machine, designed to measure and weaponize ugliness, determines that he has already reached peak ugliness. It's the most brutal self-own in cartoon history, with a handsome autographed photo of Vance Ward, turning it into a handsome innator and fixing everyone. Being declared peak ugly by his own machine is a brutal self-own, but believe it or not, that's not even his most embarrassing business venture. In It's a Mud world, Doofenshmirtz is actually trying to get venture capital. He's assembled a room full of what appear to be evil investors for a formal presentation. He's noticed that monster trucks. No, he smugly informs Perry that the machine he's sitting on is not the locate-inator at all. It is, in fact, a Chinese platypus trap. He is so unbelievably pleased with himself for this. He finds the nearest monster truck, which is conveniently at Phineas and Ferb's backyard rally, and he proceeds to pack his investors and his freshly trapped nemesis into his car to go take a look. He has to bring Perry along, he explains, because he's my nemesis. I have to show him everything. When they arrive at the rally, he's immediately thwarted by a mundane, real-world problem. There's no parking. In a moment of pure frustration, he mutters,
Hey, there's no parking spot. I should have invented a parked car away-inator.
And one of the investors, the guy with the giant swollen head, immediately pipes up,
Oh yeah, that is something that I would buy.
Doof's reaction isn't to take the note, it's pure petty jealousy. Oh, look at him. He's got a big head, suddenly some sort of marketing genius. Eventually, Perry escapes the trap thanks to another investor who just kind of shows up and cuts him free and makes his way to the Awayinator. And here we witness the single dumbest piece of user interface design in the history of evil technology. The dial on the front of the Inator has a whole range of settings, including a very specific, clearly labeled setting for Doofenshmirtz Mobile and Evil Investors Awayinator. It's literally an option. The machine works perfectly, zapping him and his potential funding to the alien dimension. And his last thought before being devoured is a moment of profound self-reflection.
Doofenshmirtz Mobile and Evil Investors Awayinator? I have to rethink my dials.
You think, Heinz? You really think? Now, getting eaten by an alien baby after your investors abandon you would be rock bottom. But Doofenshmirtz's childhood trauma always finds a new low. Let's look into Raging Bully for a minute, because his obsession with his own miserable childhood is a recurring theme of pure comedy. Perry gets to the lair and gets trapped in a giant vat of Doonkelberry cake mix. Not acid, not quicksand, but cake mix. The plan is that the yeast will cause the cake to rise and bury him alive in 30 to 40 minutes. He even passes Perry a slice of cake to eat while he waits to die. And why? Because it's his birthday, the absolute lousiest day of the year for him. He launches into his tragic backstory, starting with the day he was born.
Both of my parents failed to show up.
How is that even possible? Then he tells Perry about how,
By the age of 5, I was forced to throw my own surprise party at Gunter Gutcheese's.
the flashback shows poor little Heinz standing all alone, his only friends being the creepy animatronic band. Then he had to walk home by himself, with his cake, through a part of Drusselstein famous for swarms of Doonkelberry bats that, wouldn't you know it, love Doonkelberry cake. So, of course, the bats attack and ruin his only source of joy. And if you thought that sad story was crazy, it has nothing on the sheer, multi-year-long pettiness he unleashes at a children's science fair. In the episode Unfair Science Fair, Major Monogram sends Perry to investigate Doof for buying chicken wire, tons of baking soda, and lederhosen. Perry finds him driving a truck of doom and immediately gets trapped in a baby's car seat. Doofenshmirtz then proudly shows off his legs, claiming he can pull off lederhosen because he's got the legs for it. The whole reason he's subjecting himself to this fashion crime will become clear later. As they're driving, a woman in another car honks at him, and he mutters to Perry about how her voice is so masculine and growly that he thought she was a man. Of course, she's standing right outside his window and hears the whole thing. She punches him, giving him a black eye. Then, when they get to the science fair, he makes fun of a little kid's model of Pluto, saying the planet doesn't even exist anymore. The kid's older brother overhears and punches him again, giving him 2 matching black eyes. So why is he putting himself through all this humiliation? Another tragic backstory, of course. When he was a kid, he entered the science fair with his very first Inator, but he lost to a baking soda volcano. The next year, he built an even bigger Inator and still lost to a baking soda volcano. He gave up science for poetry, and somehow he still lost the poetry contest to a baking soda volcano. So his grand plan is to build the world's largest, most unbeatable baking soda volcano. And the lederhosen? That's his disguise. When the man at the check-in desk asks if he isn't a little old to be entering a kid's science fair, Doofenshmirtz just says,
No! What makes you say that? I mean, look at me. I'm wearing lederhosen.
Okay, go ahead.
it actually worked. Later, he needs an outlet for the nice little laser show that goes with his volcano. So he unplugs Phineas and Ferb's portal to Mars to plug us in. Perry, who had been stuck in the baby car seat this whole time, finally escapes by wriggling out of his own fur, confronts Doofenshmirtz, who is pouring vinegar into his project. In the struggle, Doof gets covered in vinegar, slips, and falls right into the mouth of his own volcano. As this is happening, Mr. McGillicuddy plugs the portal to Mars back in, but into a high-voltage outlet. The portal sucks up the erupting volcano, launching Doofenshmirtz all the way to Mars. The portal then vanishes, but a tiny piece of the portal opens up just long enough for Doofenshmirtz to hear the judges award first prize to a different girl's baking soda volcano, prompting a final. So, getting launched to Mars just to lose to another baking soda volcano is hilarious. But if you thought that was crazy, just remember his social failures get so much funnier from here. Next is the episode It's About Time. So Perry the Platypus arrives at Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. Business as usual, right? He sees the silhouette in the window. Doof is thrashing around yelling. So Perry bursts in, ready to throw down, but what he finds is Doofenshmirtz just standing there, looking like a kid who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, stammering his face off.
Perry the platypus. Perry the platypus.
Anyone with eyes can tell he's hiding something. And then, as if on cue, you hear a rattling sound, looks at Perry, and delivers the single worst excuse in the history of excuses.
I have mice?
Mice? He actually tries to warn Perry away.
I wouldn't go in there if I were you.
It's so pathetic it loops all the way back around to being genius. Perry, of course, is a professional. He just gives this blank, unimpressed stare. Where does Doofenshmirtz? Peter the Panda, his rival nemesis? And Doofenshmirtz, instead of just giving up, triples down on the lies.
Perry the platypus, I swear I've never seen this secret agent-looking panda before.
He says this with a straight face while there is a panda in his closet, and, the best detail of all, a giant panda paw print smacked right onto his cheek. He even points it out himself.
There's a panda in my closet and a panda paw print on my cheek. But it's not what you think.
How does he explain this away?
We're not enemies, we're just bad friends.
What does that even mean? You're not just bad friends, you're nemesis cheating. The scene is just incredible. And it only gets better because now Doofenshmirtz has to do the whole awkward breakup speech.
Peter the Panda is my new nemesis.
He recounts how they met at an evil genius expo in Seattle and how they just instantly disliked each other. He makes it sound so romantic. He's trying to let Perry down easy, and it is excruciatingly funny. He even has the gall to ask Peter to go get them sodas, turning the whole hostile confrontation into some kind of bizarre, evil double date. Then he turns back to Perry to offer Perry a soda because, in his words, "I think it's better if we just have a clean break." He's already given the evil monologue to his new nemesis. He dismisses Perry and he immediately gets back to his new rivalry.
Curse you, Peter the Panda!
No, Doofenshmirtz takes his problems to television, to the Dr. Feelbetter show. He actually goes on a daytime talk show to work out his issues with his two nemeses. The man has absolutely zero shame. The host, Dr. Feelbetter, treats it with all the seriousness of a real therapy session, even bringing Peter the Panda out as a surprise guest. Real freeze-inator to turn all the world's best agents into statues for his giant chessboard. But because he is the king of failure, Perry immediately escapes. The whole plan falls apart in seconds, and the hits just keep on coming with Got Game. Doof's plan this time is to win the Danville Dog Show. Why? Again, tragic backstory. He explains that his father once won a puppy in a game of poke the goosum with a stick and named the dog Only Son because it was, and I quote, like the son he never had. The dog became a champion, showered with love and affection, while Heinz was forced to be the family's lawn gnome. He even checks with Perry to make sure he remembers that story.
You remember that story, right? With my neighbor Kenny? I don't have to go through... Oh, okay.
He's so insecure he needs his nemesis to keep up with his lore. So, to finally earn the paternal validation he never received, he's going to win that dog show.
Higher fragile self-esteem is totally dependent on your performance today at the dog show, but, you know, no pressure.
He says this to the dog he's about to enter, who is, of course, Perry the Platypus in a flimsy disguise. He goes to a pet shop called My Little Doggies to find his champion, and immediately zeroes in on Perry, who is just standing there doing a very poor impression of a dog. The snooty shop owner is skeptical, but Doofenshmirtz will not be denied. He brushes off her concerns by loudly announcing,
Oh, don't try to wheel and deal with me. I get a big alimony check every month, so money's no object.
and suddenly the dog costs $10,000. Doofenshmirtz has no training, no experience, and a fake dog. So how will he win? By cheating, obviously. He unveils the Misbehave-inator, a ray gun that does exactly what the name implies. He demonstrates it by zapping the other show dogs, causing them to go wild. A poodle starts chewing on its owner, a schnauzer digs a hole to the center of the earth, and a dachshund shoves a bone in its owner's mouth. Perry finally makes his move, revealing his identity, and Doof's first reaction is crippling social embarrassment.
Perry the platypus! I'm very embarrassed about all that coochie goo stuff.
Another day, another delightfully dumb and emotionally scarred failure. And honestly, you could pick almost any episode at random and find a gem of pure Doofenshmirtz absurdity. In Bowl R Ama Drama, he traps Perry by freezing him with a giant robotic penguin, announcing his latest creation, the giant robotic penguin Icy Freeze Your Socks Off Breathinator. Thingy! His plan is to freeze the entire city and then sell everyone hot chocolate. But his business model is where the true genius lies.
Because you know who doesn't enjoy a nice cup of hot chocolate when it's so cold out? The first cup will be free, of course, but then the second will also be free, but then the third will cost $1 million. That way I only have to sell 3 and I will already be a millionaire.
He is convinced this is a foolproof plan. In Nerdy Dancin', he gets into a heated argument with his robot servant Norm over a potato salad recipe.
Taylor, and I still think you should have added more green onion.
This squabble in the middle of an evil scheme is hilarious on its own, but it's Norm's savage retort that makes the scene legendary.
Well, next time you can do all the cooking, and I'll stand around coming up with evil plans that ultimately fail.
Doofenshmirtz is just stunned. Wow, cutting deep, man. Or how about in Ready for the Betties, when Perry foils his plan and leaves him tied up while an automatic tennis ball launcher shoots mops into his mouth over and over? His line, in between getting gagged with cleaning supplies, is just,
Why did I buy so many mops?
in gaming the system, his plan backfires so badly that he ends up falling from the sky directly into the middle of the summer cotillion, where he is mistakenly crowned the queen. He just stands there in a dress and a tiara and delivers the most perfect line of his life.
Oh, I am honored. And at the same time humiliated. So thank you and curse you.
During a fight in Backyard Aquarium, he stops mid-battle, reaches out his hand like he's using the Force, and just stares intently at Perry. Perry, confused, looks behind him to see what Doof is trying to move with his mind. Doofenshmirtz then breaks character completely and giggles,
No, just kidding. But I made you look, didn't I? Huh?
he interrupted an epic evil fight just to play a prank. And finally, you can't talk about his dumbest moments without mentioning his endless, petty, and deeply specific tragic backstories. In Out to Launch, he reveals that he can't make hand shadows because he was once the best hand shadow puppeteer in his village. But he lost his sweetheart, his Fraulein, to a rival named Hans. Why? Because Hans had bigger hands.
We called him Huge Hands Hans. His puppetry was garbage. But unfortunately, it was good enough for my Fräulein. I lost her to a boy with bigger fingers. And I never did a shadow puppet again.
He is, without a doubt, the funniest, dumbest, and most endearingly pathetic evil scientist to have ever graced our screens. But if you thought that was wild, wait until you see Mom Knew All Along Theory. Click the video on screen now to find out.